Alright, quick video. Didn't really know what to put in the background, so I'll just put leaderboard stuff and remind you this leaderboard exists. It's pretty good. It's got a lot of stats. Check it out. Alright, so this is a TTAC 15 semifinals preview. The semifinals have been set, and I want to talk about each of the four players. I'm going to talk a little more about the ones I tend to talk less about because, you've already heard a lot about at least two of these guys. So, first up, just going from the top of the bracket to the bottom, we have Yevon. And Yevon really made a splash in 2005 in the TTAC 3. He beats Dream Virus early, and Dream Virus was just a consistent making deep runs, one of at that time one of the 5 or 10 best tournament players ever, probably pretty high on that list. He beats Spitfire, Cool Blue X. He beats Vid in the semifinals and loses to Kamikaze in the finals. And really, just a really strong finals run in TTAC 3. And then for 18 years, he does not win another icon. And then this year, he just starts crushing tournaments. He makes the semifinals of Cosmos. He wins Balance of Power, the TTN tournament. And now he is in the semifinals of TTAC 15, having beaten Turds in the quarterfinals and just looking phenomenally good. He won my most recent Player of the Month award as I say this. He's generally been a kind of top 25-ish player in the world. In 2005, I have him as high as 12th. He's 2 wins away from joining the 40 Win Club. The 40 Win Club's a pretty cool club. Let's go look at that. Most wins. Where are you at? I think I just scrolled by you. There you are. Most wins. If you look at people above 40 wins, okay, like Delial and Yojimbo are above 100, that's fine. They win a lot. But you start looking at kind of everyone who's 40 wins and above, and it's just so many big names. And there's some big names that miss, but just everyone who's hit 40 wins is so impressive to me. It's really one of those, I think, striking numbers. You said it at 50 wins. Yeah, everyone above that's incredible too. But there's something about 40 tournament matches won that I think is really a neat moment in kind of Triple Triad history. He has won 2 rounds. He is up to 38 wins. He is 2 wins away from that big 40 number. If he wins the tournament, he gets there. Obviously, he'll care more about, winning the tournament. But getting there before Midas, Kazik, Mafi Josie, Saif, etc. What a feat. It takes a long time and a lot of tournaments to win 40 tournament games. It's just really hard. It's a really hard and rare achievement. He'd be the 25th to have ever done it. And he's so close. I mean, he's going to get there. Sooner or later, he's going to get there. But if he wins the tournament, he gets there now. If you add up the ratings of everyone he's beaten, he's top 30 all time in ELO beaten. I have him 60th all time right now in my standings. There's a good chance he reaches the top 50 after this tournament. He's certainly been in the top 50 before. It's really cool to see him making these deep runs. He has this fantastic run in 2005, and he's been very good ever since. But he's never had that kind of breakthrough moment. And this year, it feels like it's happening, right? I mean, it is happening. He has won a TTN tournament. He has He has 2 semis now in TTA tournaments. This is an incredible year for Yevon, and is he the player of the year? Well, Turds has 2 finals. We'll see who wins this. That's all very up in the air, I think. But he's had a great year. If he goes on to win this, he's probably just clear favorite for player of the year. Might be just like unstoppably going to win it. Yevon's had an awesome year, and I'm really excited for him. I think it would be really fun to see how far he can take this. But I should say, I'm excited for all 4 players. I think they're all kind of fighting for history in neat ways. But Yevon would be however far he gets, you should be thinking, maybe Yevon's player of the year this year. Maybe Yevon's player of the year this year. There's a good case for it, and that case may only be getting better. All right, next up we have Seto, and I talk about Seto a lot, right? He's one of Triple Triad's big 4. He's pretty untouchable in many ways, But he has never won a TTAC before. He doesn't play them much. He made a finals in TTAC 10, wins the open game only to get knocked out on 2 closed games. But this could be his first TTAC win. That would add to his 2 Triad Wars, his Standard SE, and his Rhinoa, which would be 4 different types of tournaments won. Only Deli and Yojimbo have done that. It would be his 5th tournament overall. Only Deli, Yojimbo, and myself have done that. Yeah, I mean, Seto, like, it's already those 4 people, right? But Seto has played less tournaments than most of the others of those and has thus won less tournaments, not because his win rate is any lower. His win rate's really, really high. And so it would be nice to see Seto win a 5th. It's really hard to win tournaments. It would be nice to see him win a TTAC. I think he's a very strong closed player, and this would be something to kind of stick on the resume that says that, besides just being a dominant trade player. He has also passed me clearly passed me, not like tied, for second most semifinals ever, trailing only Yojimbo. He's done that already by making the semis. Seto winning would just be another, yeah, Seto's fantastic. Like, this is, what are we, again, I don't have a ton to say here because it's Seto. Like, of course he has a good chance to win, and of course if he wins, that adds to his incredible legacy. And I have very similar feelings about Delial. What to say that's kind of new about Delial? Well, if he wins this, I think it's a little more historically interesting because then we will have a 3-way tie for most tournaments ever at 7 between Delial, Yojimbo, and Was Up. And yeah, that would be a pretty cool 3-way tie for first. And then we just got to get Seto a few wins, and we have the correct 4-way tie for first. And that would be great. Yeah, Deli's amazing. I should talk about the matchups a little. So we have Seto versus Yevon. Seto is certainly favorite, right? There's basically no matchup Seto's in that he's not favorite. So Seto is favorite against Yevon, but Yevon has played phenomenally well. He's one of 2 players in the tournament that have not lost a single game so far. And again, he beat Turds in the last round. So Yevon looks in unbelievably good form. He's just been crushing every kind of event, especially the important ones, the more important ones. But it's Seto. So I'd be really excited to see Yevon win, but I'd also be excited to see Seto win. I just hope I get to catch some of the games. And then moving on to our second matchup, we have Deli. I've talked a bit about Deli. I don't think I have too much more to say. I think Deli and Seto are jockeying, you could say, for place among kind of the top 4, where there's a good case for both of them. And winning this tournament would be a case for whoever wins it to be ahead of the other. But we have so much evidence on each. Like, it moves the needle, but not a whole lot. Also want to say, Deli knocked out Akiyama in the quarterfinals. It was based on 2 closed, but the reason Deli went out in the last TTAC to me was based on 2 closed. That's going to happen, right? And it should go both ways against top players. And I was really happy for him on his win there. Obviously, I root for Deli, and Akiyama is an incredibly dangerous threat. Of active players, Akiyama is the most dangerous, most likely person to start threatening that all-time top 4. I don't, every video I come out with, like, has Akiyama passed Sujiro? And then the next video I have to go, yeah, he's passed Sujiro. But has he passed the next guy? And then, yeah, he's passed the next guy. Which is, like, exciting, but also, like, I like the legends holding their place, and he keeps kind of tearing down the statues to move up in these rankings. So Akiyama is the active player with the most likelihood to threaten those big names. I think, he starts catching up in tournaments played to them. He's going to be in the top 10 soon enough. I don't think, and I think if Deli keeps, like, knocking him out of tournaments, it gets harder, right? All right, so Deli's great. Deli, if he wins, hits 7 tournaments. If he doesn't win, well, he's just extending his lead for most icons ever, which he's already up 2-1 Yojimbo, and that lead's going to keep growing. Deli's great. And he is favorite in his semifinal matchup, but this one's really interesting because his opponent is Tezuka, and Tezuka is on one of the craziest runs we've ever seen. Following 6 icons in a row, tying for the all-time record, he also, during that run, wins TTAC 14 without losing a single game. Now, of course, he won it without losing a match, but each match is best of 3, and he won all of them 2-0, except for in the first round when he and Kaus played one draw and then Kaus withdrew. So he has won 8 games in a row in that tournament, including open, including closed. And then he tied very few games on the way there as well. So like 8 wins and like 3 or 4 ties. And then this tournament, he's done the same thing. In fact, I'm sure he's tied somewhere, but like he's basically just won every game, and he certainly hasn't lost any. So over 2 TTACs, he has now won 12 games in a row. He is insanely good at this format. He is the reigning champion and has the chance to be the first back-to-back TTAC winner ever. Now you might say, okay, in the old days, TTAC defending champions didn't play the next tournament, they defended their title. But we've had a few TTACs since then. Yojimbo tried to defend a title. Deli tried to defend a title. These are pretty good players. No one has defended their title. Now, someone has won essentially back-to-back TTACs. They just weren't back-to-back. Broccoli wins the first, or Emerald, as you might know her, wins the first TTAC and then disappears for a while and comes back to win the 9th TTAC. So she won 2 TTACs in a row of ones she played. And she is the only player to have won 2 TTACs. Tezuka could join her, and with an even, I think, more incredible run of tournaments, though hers is taking an 8-year break and then coming back and immediately winning your first tournament is nuts. So Tezuka is really threatening to set records on TTACs. He's also, like, Yevon obviously jumps up a lot historically if he wins this, but if Tezuka wins a second tournament here, he is very firmly in the top 20 all time, and it would be exciting to see how high he'd rise. Tezuka is playing so well. So, Tezuka versus Deli. Deli is the favorite, certainly, but Tezuka does not lose games. Like, Tezuka just doesn't lose. So, what's going to happen in a format where you have this incredible all-time legend who I think is currently in really good form? I really like how he's been playing recently, versus Tezuka, who doesn't lose games, just doesn't lose. So, I think for me, the most fun result would be like Deli wins 2-0 or 2-1, or Tezuka wins 2-0. I don't want Tezuka to win 2-1. Because if Tezuka advances, I want this undefeated streak to continue. I think it's a great joy. I would be very happy, as I said, for all these players. But man, Tezuka's had a run here. It's nuts. If it's going to end, Deli All is a very reasonable place for it to end. So we have 4 potential finals. 3 of them were predicted. Someone's bracket had 3 of the 4 potential finals in it. Like between different brackets, 3 of the 4 were covered. So obviously, Deli All versus Seto is the one, on all the news channels, right? That's the one they're hyping up. It's like every time that in the Champions League, Real Madrid and Barcelona are in the semifinals, like, oh my God, it's going to be that finals, and then it never ever happens. But here, there's a good chance it happens. But at least in the Champions League, that one never seems to happen. And I find this very funny when all the networks are just talking about, oh my God, it's going to be that. And then, like, one of them loses to Bayern and the other loses to Dortmund. And there's this much hyped all Spanish final that's completely supplanted by a not at all hyped German final. But that ended up being a fun Champions League. Anyway, my point is, Deli All versus Seto have, I think, one of the most interesting rivalries. They faced a number of times in the semifinals of tournaments, but they've only faced once in the finals. They faced each other, I believe, in the 3-way finals of Triad Wars 6, where they both beat Jaws, maybe? No, they both beat Meta. And then they faced each other for the title, and Deli won that one, but Seto has certainly been getting the better of it more recently. Be a great match, I'm always very excited to see Delta Bulls, and I think it is the greatest rivalry in TT history. So that's obviously a big one. But Seto versus Tezuka, that's great. Deli versus Yevon, that's great too. Tezuka versus Yevon, that's a lot of fun. I'd be pretty hyped to see that one. This is one of those tournaments that make me kind of wish there was a consolation match for third. Now, the problem with consolation matches for third is no one ever cares about them, so they don't have like the importance that you'd kind of wish they'd have. I think the way like other things should get around that is that like third wins something much bigger than fourth does. So there's a really like big incentive to come third, but I don't know what that would be here. And I'm not saying they should do that. I don't think they should. It's just one of those things where like I want to see all four of these matchups. Uh, and we're gonna get one of them in the finals, and I'd like to see two. So yeah, I'm really excited for the semifinals. I do hope I get to catch it. I know there's, time zone stuff, and certain players here don't seem to like when I watch their games, so I'm going to have to try to be sneaky. Um, but yeah, this is really exciting for me. This is a really good semifinals. I also want to say Yevon. I said coming into the tournament there were four players that I thought were just clearly a level above. Delial, Seto, Akiyama, and Turds. Akiyama went out to Delial, but lost 2-1, very competitive match. And Turds was knocked out 2-0 by Yevon. So massive kudos to Yevon there. So kind of everyone has something. Like Yevon has already knocked out a top dog and knocked him out in dominant fashion. Tezuka is just unbeatable in this format, it seems like, and Delial and Seto are Delial and Seto. So yeah, all right, I've babbled long enough on this. The semifinals happened forever ago in your time, but in my time, they're coming up, and I'm excited. Whoever wins this, like Yevon gets his first title in TTA. He did just get his first in TTN. Tezuka wins the second TTAC in a row. Seto wins his first TTAC and his fifth overall, and not that many tournaments played because Seto doesn't play as many tournaments as you think he has. And Deli wins his record-tying seventh. Yeah. Whatever happens, this is a really fun semifinals, a fun tournament, and it's nice to be in a semifinals where I feel like hyped for everyone. And that you might think usually happens, and I try to feel like that, but this one's really working for me.